Hello again, people. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source quality, affordable land in the state of Nevada. We are back this week, people, in the northeast corner of the state in Elko County with some new properties in a subdivision we have never previously before bought, listed, or sold land in. The name of that sub is the Twin River Rancho sub. And as you can imagine, per the usual here on the website, the video that you're about to watch is a subdivision-specific video, not a property-specific video. And this subdivision-specific video will be posted on every listing page for property that we have in this region from now until the end of time. Should be noted, guys, if you are interested in property in this region, of course, we have our property-specific notes down here, which will help you better compare and contrast these lots. And additionally, at the bottom of the page, of course, as always, guys, we have photos from the respective properties, which, again, will help you compare and contrast property, terrain, surroundings, so on and so forth. Now, it should be noted, guys, I want to preface here at the outset of the video, as you can see from the headline, secluded land, no neighbors, low taxes. This is what we like to call leave me alone land. This is what we like to call leave me alone land because the people who buy this, generally speaking, want to be left alone. They don't want any neighbors. And not only do they not want any neighbors, they want to be far removed from the nearest neighbor. And that is what this property is. It's very secluded, and it's in an area that hasn't really been developed too much. Ergo the low taxes, okay? So not necessarily for everybody, but of course there is a buyer pool out there who is looking for exactly this type of property, and that is whom we have purchased these properties for. So with all that said, I will start you off by simply saying that all these properties are as noted in the Twin River Rancho subdivision. Each one right now is roughly about 2 acres of land. We're pricing them at $7,500 cash price. And, of course, we have easy financing options. Generally speaking, when you get into land that is this secluded, people start to develop this. They need some extra money to build. They need some extra money for solar panels or whatever exactly they're doing. So we like to make this a little more affordable and offer you some easy financing options on this. $3,000 down, $250 a month times 24 months or 180 days, same as cash. We, however, will return to the money aspect of this later in the video. For now, guys, let's bring these up on the Google Maps. As always, GPS coordinates down here on every page. Click any one of them, and voila, onto the Google Maps we shall go. So, as noted, guys, Elko County is up here in the northeast portion of the state. Of course, you say Nevada, everybody thinks Vegas, everybody thinks Reno. Those two towns, of course, are nowhere near this part of the state. Reno, over here, along the I-80, is roughly about, let me get my notes, 300 miles west, so nowhere close. And additionally, we've got Salt Lake City over here in neighboring Utah, which is roughly about 220 miles east. Again, nowhere close. Fortunately, guys, the county of Elko is also home to the town of Elko, and as per the usual, we have photos to give you guys a better sense of exactly what this region is like. So, it should be noted, guys, of course, the town of Elko, population roughly 20,000. The subject properties are all located within roughly about 15 minutes of the town, just a little bit up the I-80. Of course, being in close proximity to a town like this, you'll have easy access not only to all government services, but of course to something like the Northeast Nevada Regional Hospital, which of course can be invaluable. And there's a regional airport out here. I believe Delta is the carrier that services this airport, so some easy flights into Salt Lake and probably Reno and probably Vegas and some other nearby cities. Probably Seattle also as well, I would imagine. Anyway, out here, of course, you've got schools, you've got churches, you've got medical facilities, dining, shopping, and nightlife, and of course, guys, lest we forget, casinos. Many, many gambling institutions in the state of Nevada, and Elko County is, of course, no exception. These are just some of the few places where you can play slot machines and poker and Keno and whatever else. Anyway, guys, and of course, the town of Elko is also home to a Walmart and a Home Depot. So if you do choose to purchase this leave me alone land, and you begin to develop it with whatever kind of home site, and you need building materials, you need some bulk groceries because you don't want to go into town every 2 days, you will have easy access to those as well. And of course, we've got grocery stores out here, we've got pharmacies, and a rich Western heritage, which of course you see reflected here in the thriving, we'll use the adjective thriving, downtown area of Elko. Anyway, guys, back to the map. So before we get into specific properties, I always like to point out just some things to do. I did not realize, I've spent some time in Elko County, but I did not realize all that was available up here, particularly in this high desert climate like this, the amount of bodies of water that are nearby. So I will just take a moment to point out, guys, that within relatively easy driving distance of the subject properties are the Ruby Lake over here, Ruby Lake National Wildlife Refuge, and just a little bit north of that is Franklin Lake and the Wildlife Management Area over here. Additionally, just sort of on the outskirts of Elko, we've got the South Fork Reservoir up here. And in the northern portion of the county, a little bit closer to the Idaho state line, we've got the Wild Horse Reservoir as well. So obviously, of course, there's a lot of great hunting opportunities in this county, but there are also a lot of great sort of water-based recreation, we will say, boating, fishing, so on and so forth. With all that said, guys, let's zoom in here on the map. Let's go to satellite view, show you exactly where these are. So we're going to use the term town charitably to define Rindon. I believe Rindon is really like a gas station and some home sites. That's what Rindon is, I'm pretty sure. Whatever the case, the property sits just north of Rindon here in the Twin River Ranchos subdivision, which occupies a lot of this checkerboard space that you see here on the map. If we zoom in, you can kind of see these checkerboard areas, and the subject properties sit up here throughout these various spots. Of course, as noted, guys, these are right here off the I-80. There's that aforementioned gas station, and all of these really are accessed through the main road that comes in here, Coal Mine Canyon Road, into this region. Now, I just quickly want to take a moment to point out that this Twin River Rancho subdivision is not just this undeveloped portion up here, but it is also this portion down here closer to the highway where you see these various home sites. This, of course, is a more developed region. At the moment that I'm making this video, I don't have any properties out here. We may in the future. Whatever the case, this is an area where you'll find... Actually, I think we could zoom in on the map a little bit here and do one of these. Let me see if I can do this. Yes, I can. All right, if we zoom in down here, you can actually see this is kind of a built-up, developed residential area. You've got some home sites out here, some nice single-family residences. Of course, power, underground utilities throughout the area. You will see those marking the road sites out here, and some nice, quaint home sites, additionally some paved roads, etc. I have used Google Maps to drive up and down this little area, and it looks like a nice kind of charming residential community. You, of course, can do the same. Now, I'm pointing all this out, guys, because as we travel north of this little developed area right here, I believe it is right over here where these utilities come to an end. And as you go off into this part of the subdivision, this is where you have some various lots out here that we're selling, which do not have access to power, do not have the underground utilities, etc. So do want to disclose that in the listings. Of course, solar is always an excellent alternative when bringing power to a property, but we just want to make clear that there is a bit of a dividing line between the properties closer to the highway and some of the ones that we're selling up here in the northern portion of the subdivision. With all that said, guys, let's go to some more photos of property out here. So I will just have you guys note, as always, we've got plat maps that give you a better sense of this region, and of course the various lots that we have for sale. These are not the world's most sophisticated plat maps, but this is what Elko County had on hand. And in some of these listings, we'll have adjacent lots, and of course that'll be indicated on the respective listing pages. Whatever the case, the plat maps will at least identify where precisely the property is, general size, shape, location, etc. Anyway, guys, as we go to the photo gallery, you can get a sense of a couple things out here that I do want to make you aware of. Number one, the roads as you go this far north. These, of course, are not paved. That paved area ends where I kind of pointed out on the map earlier. So these are roads that will require a larger truck or off-road capable vehicle. These are not regularly maintained, and they're a little rough, guys. Additionally, we've got some nearby developed home sites out here. This is one of them, and then we've got another one, which I put in quotes because I don't know how developed that one is, and I don't know that it's much of a home, but it is out there. And I'll get back to these in just a bit. Of course, as we go through the photos, you get a sense of exactly how pretty, how picturesque this region is. You've got the nearby Ruby Mountains that kind of not surround the region, but the property is located what I like to call within the shadows of the Ruby Mountains, etc. And you get a sense of exactly how secluded, how private this region is, so on and so forth. Without utilities to talk about, there isn't much that I can say about these properties. I will, however, allow you guys to peruse the photo gallery on your own time, and you can see exactly how sort of picturesque this region is and precisely how private it is. Now, with all that said, guys, the home sites that I pointed out here, I did for a reason, and that's because, of course, I'm going to talk about zoning. This Ruby View Ranchos is a subdivision that has no covenants or restrictions associated with it. That being said, of course, this is Elko County, and they do have some zoning ordinances out here. This particular region is zoned R1, and if you come up here and click on this, it'll bring up this PDF, which further enumerates and explains exactly what the R1 single-family residential district is. Now, this is about a page and a quarter. It doesn't go into a lot of detail, but I think it goes into enough detail to give you a sense of what you can and cannot do out here. Of course, single-family residences are always permitted in areas like this. Nobody ever has a problem with that in any county in America. When you get a little more, let's say, unconventional, If you want to do tiny homes, if you want to do shipping container homes, it's always a good idea to reach out to the county, talk to them about that sort of thing. What I get from reading these covenants is that a mobile home, a manufactured home are probably acceptable. I see no restrictions on minimum square footage. If the county does have something like that, it's not written out here. So it'd be a good idea to call them, particularly if you want to do a tiny home. Generally speaking, shipping container homes are usually acceptable as long as they're built up to, state building code requirements, so on and so forth. The point is, you have a good deal of leeway within this region. But one of the reasons that let me scroll back down here. One of the reasons that I was pointing out these home sites is if you peruse this area, if you were to drive up and down this region, you receive these. I don't believe that all of the home sites in this area are conforming to the R1 zoning designation. For instance, this one. Now, does the owner of this home site receive a fine on a daily, weekly basis because of this thing out here? Or is the county blissfully ignorant of the fact it even exists out there? I'm going to go with choice B. Now, the point of me saying all this, of course, is that per the letter of the zoning designation, we like to give our buyers a sense of what, literally speaking, per the zoning ordinance, you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. But then we also like to point out that it seems like many people have deviated from the zoning ordinance and are doing a lot of whatever they want. For instance, having all these RVs parked out here, I can't believe that that's actually acceptable. But it seems like a lot of people do that. So it's one of those guys where we always encourage you, if you are interested in property in this region, it's if you're actually close, if you could take a drive out here and kind of explore, go up and down some of these roads. Obviously, this is the more developed portion, but I think you'll even get a sense of it out here that, it's small government Elko County, small government, quote unquote. So they're probably not policing this too much, and you could probably get away with some things. But anyway, with all that said, guys, let me just direct your attention. Of course, Nevada Energy is the statewide utility company that services this region and pretty much the entire region of the state. Click on that link. It'll take you to their website. As noted, of course, there's no power at the subject property or really anywhere close. Of course, if you do want to have that conversation about getting power extended, it's roughly, you know what? Let's measure. Hang on. We got time here. Let's measure from the subject property to roughly down here. It is right-click and measure distance. A little more than a mile. So if you do want to have that conversation about getting power extended out to that region, or even the conversation about when will power be extended out to that region, because obviously there is development slowly encroaching north within this subdivision, you can have that conversation with Nevada Energy. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, guys, not a lot to say about the property. When you take away covenants and restrictions, when zoning is light, and when utilities are non-existent, there's not a lot to talk about. So I will just wrap up by saying that these are all properties that we closed on through WFG, National Title Insurance Company, which means, of course, we got title insurance on them, which, of course, means we have clear and marketable title. Let's get into buying options here, guys. There's 3 ways that you could purchase this property. Let's talk about the cash way. All right, so you come up here, you click the Buy Now button for the cash price. It's going to take you to this secure checkout. Of course, we do not anticipate that the average person can charge $7,500 in one shot on a credit card if you were so inclined. So we ask for a non-refundable, once more, people, non-refundable earnest money deposit of $500 just to kind of kick off the process. You give us the legal name for deed, tax address, so on and so forth. And down here, agree to the terms of service. Click Next, and on the next page, you can enter credit or debit card information. Now, guys, we do actually provide you a little bit of an option here. This, when we get north of $10,000 on these properties, we like to recommend to our buyers closing through a title company. When we are south of $10,000, we recommend just let us write the deed. It'll be, cheaper and easier. We'll write the deed. We'll convey the property to you. That being said, this is a kind of price point where I can understand people being sensitive about that. Maybe you want title insurance. Maybe you want to close through a title company. So we give you the option down here. How do you want to fund and close this purchase? Click the drop down. Of course, you've got 2 options. Credit, debit card. Seller, that's us, pays the closing costs. Or title and escrow, buyer pays the closing costs. Or if you want to talk to us before you decide, of course, you can click Need More Information before I decide. Whatever the case, those options are available. Point being, guys, you put down the $500 and then we will either close it through a title company or we will send you a payment link to pay the remaining balance with credit or debit card. Or we could do a wire, we could do a cashier's check, we could do whatever your little heart desires. Now, additionally, guys, it should be noted, we have the terms option up here. And if you click this checkout right here, it will take you to this secure page where we will ask for $3,000 down, and then we will set up a recurring payment plan of $250 a month. This, of course, we don't do a lot of financing on the website, but when we have properties like this where a potential buyer is probably going to have to develop it from scratch, we do like to give you the option to kind of finance this so it makes it a little more affordable, so you can own the land while you are simultaneously developing the land, paying for both at once. Whatever the case, guys, legal name for deed, once again, tax address, and then agree to the terms of service, and you could place that deposit of $3,000. Now, for the record, guys, these checkouts always are kind of written awkwardly. It looks like you're putting down $3,250. You're not. You're just putting down $3,000. Now, let's pretend for 2 seconds that I went way too fast through some of that, and you would like to learn more about this process. Well, fortunately, guys, we've got the payment options noted down here. That enumerates the various processes. Of course, the cash option, number 1, the title escrow option, number 2. This will also link you to a very helpful page on our website called How It Works, Buying From Us. This is what that page looks like, and you can look at what some of these options are like. And additionally, we've got title escrow FAQ down here. If you do want to go that route, but you're not terribly familiar with the process, that will answer a lot of questions for you. And additionally, guys, if you do want to get into the putting down the $3,000 a month and paying slowly on the property, we're offering 180 days, same as cash on that. So if you do have it paid off in the next 6 months, whether you hit the lotto or whether you're just good at kind of saving up and just kind of killing off that remaining balance fast, you will not have to pay more than the cash price of the $7,500 plus the doc prep fee of $150. Whatever the case, if you are saying, hey, Hemingway, I'm not going to put down $3,000 till I know what I'm being asked to sign, well, fortunately, people, we have a link, a very helpful link right here. You click that and it will take you to a generic version of our standard Twin River Ranchos land contract, which will enumerate various terms about just monthly payments, late payments, who's responsible for the taxes, so on and so forth. But the 180 days, same as cash, as you can see, is enumerated here. If paid within 6 months, no more than $7,650, the cash price will be owed. Now, of course, if you pay it as slowly as humanly possible, it'll shake out to be about $9,000. Again, that's $250 over 30 pay periods. Or, of course, if you pay it off some point in between, it'll be enumerated in the contract exactly how that price point kind of graduates. Whatever the case, you can read through this and get to familiarize yourself with all the sort of financial elements of the contract and everything that you would be responsible for as the buyer. Of course, we do not deed the property in your name until such time as you've made all these payments, so this contract acts as the sort of instrument which demonstrates your, quote, equitable interest in the land. Oh, people, I hope that wasn't too boring. I hope I didn't go too fast on that. Whatever the case, you could go through those notes, learn more about the buying process and the various options that you have here. Once again, guys, some good leave-me-alone land, very secluded, no utilities out there, no neighbors, but very low taxes and a lot of privacy. And there's a lot of people who dig that sort of thing, so hopefully you're one of them. And if you are, you'll be purchasing from us. Of course, if you have any questions, guys, shoot us an email, support@hemingwayland.com. Leave a comment on the YouTube, or give us a call if you like. Anyway, thanks again for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next video.